What up, guys? So today's question is going to be one that affects a lot of people when they get into jiu-jitsu, especially some of the older crew guys that sit down a lot, things like that. Wes writes me, he says, "Hey Chewy, my hips are very inflexible. Do you have any suggestions on how to perform triangle chokes with this problem?" So Wes, I'll give you a couple ideas to chew on in regards to the triangle and maybe how to make sure that you don't have to have as much flexibility, but at the same time, there's no reason not to have a little bit of additional flexibility because it's a very simple problem to fix. I've done this with a lot of my students, and I'll give you a couple stretches that'll probably loosen things up, and you can do them for like 2 minutes at the end of your day. So let's take a look at the details on the triangle, then we'll take a look at the stretches. All right, bro, so I lied to you. I'm gonna do the stretches first, and then I'll show you the details on the triangle. So typically speaking, for most people, when you're doing the triangle, your leg is getting in at this angle like this, right? And for a lot of people that do a lot of sitting, if they're very sedentary, they have a lot of office work, even people that stand a lot, I've seen that too, is when they try to bring this leg in like this, it gets really tight on their hip and they end up getting a lot of pressure on their knee, right? Which is, again, we don't want to have that, because if you put someone in a locked triangle and there's a lot of pressure on your knee, if they start trying to get out of that sucker, that's going to be a bad idea, okay? Some super simple ways to address this. The biggest thing is we need to stretch the outside of the hip there, the piriformis muscle. So I'll give you a couple stretches on this. First one, really simple, pigeon stretch. Basically, all we're going to do is bring that leg in, and then from here, we just sit back here. Now again, we're not worried about how far we necessarily get down. We'd like to keep our back relatively straight, and I want to fill the stretch out here, and we can just sit here and just hang out. That one right there, you're sitting there for, again, do a couple rounds, 1 minute apiece for 2 rounds at least, right? Because you want to try to get at least 2 minutes. I think the literature as it stands right now is it's like 2 minutes is a minimum for soft tissue change, and then sort of I think the cutoff is somewhere like again, as it is right now, this could change years down the road, but around like 5 minutes is like, that's enough, right? So like you're looking to try to get 2 minutes in the stretches. Another one is a 90-90 position. This may be a little bit easier for you. 90-degree angle with this leg, 90-degree angle with this leg. And it's kind of the same idea. We're gonna keep our back relatively straight and lean forward and tip forward, right? And again, you can kind of move in and out with this here and find that spot. And as soon as you start to feel that stretch, just hang out. You can come out of it for a little bit, lean into it here, and we can work our way all the way down over time, right? But those are 2 simple stretches that can help loosen that sucker up. One last one, and it's not that this is so advanced, but you won't use this one until you're a little bit more comfortable. I think they call it cow legs from yoga. This one, I really like this one after training for just loosening things up a little bit. But basically, we put one leg forward, and then we go back with the other leg, and we face our feet in opposite directions, right? And then we sit back. And this one, like for me, where I'm at right now as far as with my hips, this one hits that spot perfect. And you can kind of play in the position here until you find your spot, and there it is. And I can lean into it a little bit, pull it up here, and I can get that nice stretch. And again, once I'm here, I can kind of rock into it a little bit, kind of play in it. Oh, there it is. Finding a little bit more tightness somewhere. And then again, hang in that position for a while, sit for around, minute to 2 minutes. You can play some music, listen to a podcast, whatever you want to do. I like doing these stretches after my body's warm. So typically after a shower or after training, something to that degree, or after I'm done lifting weights, something like that where I'm nice and warmed up, I can get in these stretches and just hold for a couple minutes to help loosen things up over a while. So let's take a look at some ideas though with the triangle that can sort of help, close the gap while you improve your flexibility to try to work around that. So quick fun side fact. I do my best triangles with my left leg up instead of my right one. When I was younger, when I first started jiu-jitsu, I had a torn meniscus cartilage right here. And every time I would go at this angle to do this, my knee would pop. I also had tight hips back then. And so again, this was really difficult for me. So I ended up getting really good with my left leg, being the triangle leg. So check this out. When we're doing a triangle, the more we're straight on with the person, the more demand we're gonna have for this flexibility here, right? Because now I've got to be able to get in here and get that triangle position locked up. Okay, so one of the things that you can do, Wes, is try to focus on getting a slight angle here, okay? Because if you think about it here, this is way easier on my leg than if I'm straight up here, and especially the guy would be fighting a little bit, you have some pressure, and having to pull this leg all the way up here to get to this. That's gonna be a lot more pressure, right? So what we can do is when we're getting into this position, let's say we got like a loose triangle, we can grab our shin, cut an angle going the opposite side, and then when we finish, here's a detail I got from one of my guys that really helped me out with my triangles. You're gonna take your leg, that's the locking leg, right? And I'm gonna basically shave the side of his head, shave his ear off, and I wanna hide his shoulder if I can. Okay, I'll talk about what if you can't, but I wanna try to hide his shoulder and then lock here. Super easy to finish that, right? I don't have to do this here. Now from here, notice the difference. Here, this isn't nearly as sharp as it has to be if I'm straight on with the guy, right? Here, this is just a nice straight angle. It's almost just like this. Very little flexibility needed. Notice though that when I'm here, I'm locking up on my foot. One of the things you don't want to do, and I always share this with people with triangles, is we don't want to lock up on our foot all the time. If you do it in a competition or something, that happens. You know, maybe if you're in a really tough match, that can happen, but you don't want that to be your first thing, because I've seen a lot of people where they've had a tough wrestler or someone that's big and strong, and they have their triangle locked on their foot, and the person like arches their back, and then boom, you get some pops in the shin. So what you want to do is, even if we're a little bit more shallow, as long as we're locking over top here, we can still finish it by just basically sliding up the shin here, keeping the foot locked in, pushing the knee in, clamping the hamstring down, and we're still removing that space. Let's say that Hayden was here, and I get this position. Even if I'm here, I'm not fully on the back of my knee here. But if I push my knee in, clamp my heel down, I can still finish it. If you want to try to take away some of the flexibility demands on your triangle, instead of trying to make your leg move, make your body move, right? That'll make it a little bit easier on you to finish the triangle. And then in the meantime, start stretching. I know it's boring. If it's not something that you naturally like doing, I know it's super boring, but the benefits of it are super big, right? Super huge for jiu-jitsu. It's good to have flexibility, especially in this angle here that we're gonna find ourselves in a lot. So take a few minutes after a shower, take a few minutes after training, sit in those positions, stretch it out. It doesn't take very long. And again, you'll start to notice it very quickly. Do those for a week, you know, like a couple times a week, and you'll notice that within the next week or two, all of a sudden those triangles are gonna feel a little bit easier. So Wes, hopefully that helps you, brother. Thanks for the question.